Hey, welcome back to Half Them Homestead. This is my Folaris. It's my fake Polaris or four-wheel Polaris. I had a three-wheel Polaris that I've had for about 18 years, and I'm going to try and do something different here. So this one is completely compatible part-wise with Polaris. The bag is for a 380. The 280, excuse me, they're bigger. This is a 1.5 inch as opposed to a 2.5 or 2 1/4, whatever the size of the other 280 is. So this is compatible with Polaris parts and the 380 bag. Bulbs, tail, sweeper, tires, I don't know about axle, but it all seems basically the same. I did not take it apart. So the instructions tell you to take the hose out, lay it in the yard in the sun for 2 or 3 days to keep it from wanting to coil back up when it gets put in the pool. It's pretty flexible. It comes with two different, just like the Polaris ones, it comes with two different wall water. Just like Polaris, it comes with two different fittings for the wall. It has the blue one and the red one, and that's the restrictor. You want 28 to 32 revolutions per minute on the Folaris. I believe the Polaris is the same way. It has a backup valve down at the other end that activates every 3.5 minutes to pull it out of corners and if it's stuck on the stairs. We'll thread this in, plug it in, and see how many revolutions per minute we got. Now there's two different companies that make the Folaris, Malhoon and Amptyhub. I bought the Amptyhub one. I think it was on sale. They look exactly the same. They probably are made by the same company, but different names. Again, compatible with Polaris parts and Amptyhub parts and Malhoon parts. Malhoon makes a massive line of parts for the Polaris. Now they make their own Polaris. So the Malhoon, I think it's a MCP2 with the Malhoon. And with the Amptyhub, it's a AP1 or AP2000. They have two different names for the same thing. It's on sale right now, 80 bucks off with a coupon. The hose is 31 feet long. We'll probably have to trim it. Our pool is 36 by 18, so we'll probably have to cut off some sections of it. And it tells you to remove the section cut evenly from the center section here and there to make it smaller. So we'll plug it in, we'll see what our revolutions per minute is and adjust that if we have to. So we're going to start by threading this in. I'm going to take it off the hose. Maybe not. We're going to thread this guy in. You can take a pair of pliers. Try not to destroy it. And release it. Just quick disconnect there. We're going to thread this in. Not going to smoke it down because I may have to take it back out. They want you to plug the hose in and then turn it on to make sure that the hose has no debris in it. And then we'll adjust length. We'll check speed first, then we'll adjust length. Okay, so I've got it connected. Alright, so I've turned my pool pump on, the booster, and made sure that the line's clear. Now we're going to plug it into the Polaris and check for revolutions per minute. Now in order to do this, we'll have to have both the pool pump and the booster on to make sure we get proper pressure. Now you want to make a mark on the tire and hold it below the water, that's what it says, to check revolutions here. I'm gonna see if I can do this on camera. Right now the backup valve is not charged, so I got 3.5 minutes here. You see this? I'm probably gonna get soaking wet here. So I've taken a pencil and I made a mark. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, so 8. So roughly 7.5 revolutions every 10 seconds. So we'll go 7 times 10. That's going to be 7 times 6, 35. A little bit high. This will be okay with 35. Now it says if you are too high, shut everything off and put in the red one. So let's put in the red one. Alright, so I put in the red one and I've tested it, and I'm at 32 per minute, which is perfect. Again, I have not smoked down any of the fittings yet, the connection on the wall, because I may have to take it all apart. So we're going to pull up the Folaris here, and we're going to walk over and see how long it is. Now, the instructions don't give you a great example of how to cut the hose, but I do remember from doing it when I rebuilt my Polaris, the real one, 2 other times, that you want it to go right to the end. And as you can see, mine is too long. So we want the Folaris to come to here. So we need to measure from here to the Folaris and cut that off in even sections, or one section of the centerpiece there. So I've measured mine. It needs to have 5 feet removed. So I'm going to measure out 5 feet here and cut it. Now I'm just going to use a razor blade. It's very soft, so you could probably use scissors. And no, using a razor blade is not how I cut my thumb off. I'm going to take a rough estimate here. 5 feet, right about here. You want to make it rather close. It doesn't have to be absolutely incredibly perfect. I'm going to reference my manual real quick. Make sure I'm cutting off the right side, because it may say to cut it off both ends and leave the center section long. Let me go look at it. So yeah, it says here that if hose is too long, separate hose at center swivel, cut excess length. So I'm going to take it off at the 2 center swivels, well, one of them, and then cut it back. I'm going to keep the swivel on. So you want 2 swivels in this. I think they had 3 on my original. So before disconnected from the Polaris, I've marked it at the end of the swivel there to right here. I had a rustier razor blade, but I can't find it. So I've opted to go with scissors because I couldn't find a rustier razor blade. Look how soft that is. Very nice. Cuts off beautifully. So now we'll drag over the Polaris part here. Take apart this piece of the swivel. Remove the hose. So I did have to go get a fresh razor blade. I can't get this off here, so we're just going to get a nice small cut. Hopefully not cutting ourselves. Don't go too deep because we don't want to damage the fitting itself. So if we hold it over like so, hopefully it'll start to split. There we go. Pop that off. And put it on here like so. It's amazing how it slides right up and I can't get it off. And we hold the fitting, twist it up, tighten it up. That's all there is to it. Now it's tight. So now we can essentially put the Polaris in the water. We can drive around. So let's put him in and see how he does. He seems to like to crawl up walls. That's pretty cool, actually. Last one didn't do that. And like I said, the Folaris is half the cost of a Polaris. Has 4 wheels. The front wheels are, it's front wheel drive basically. Now I don't have the bag on it yet. And this is the smaller bag. This is not the leaf bag. Just let him go for a little while and we'll see how it does. We'll come back and check him out in a little bit. Now here's a tip on fine-tuning the cleaner. If you want it to climb the walls a lot more, you would point that up. If you want it to stop climbing, you point that down. I guess that pushes the front end of the Polaris, or the Folaris, some direction. If you tend to get stuck in certain corners, like maybe you can use this to keep it out of there, I don't know. But like it says, it goes into backup mode every 3.5 minutes. I guess this says 3 and the other thing says 3.5. It's got that pre-filter on it. It's supposed to have a bag grabber on top. I guess they're just expecting you to put it around the hose. My old one out here in the yard has this little ring on it, which I'll probably transfer over, and this clasp to hold the bag rather than wrap around the hose. Maybe if you wrap around the hose, it keeps it taut and tight all the time. This one's allowed to kind of move around, as you saw. But when you take it off to clean the bag, you just pop that sucker loose, clean the bag, and put it back on. So that's one nice feature of the Polaris, and you can buy that stuff, I'm sure, from Malhoon or someone online. So right now he's stuck. Let's see what it does. Should go in backup mode here any second. Okay, it's gone into backup mode. Start to pull it away. Want to go up the stairs? My guess is no. So I'm going to adjust that tail spray, the nozzle above it, in order to make it climb things better. Alright, done that. So we're going to let it go for a little while. I'm going to pause it. I'm going to put the bag on it, and then we'll come back later and see how much debris in the bag here in a couple hours. Alright, so my 3-hour assessment of the pool cleaner. It does tend to get stuck in the corner by the stairs and in that corner over there. At one point when I was mowing, I did come up and he was laying on top of the sun deck here. So I had to adjust the thrust jet, which is that little jet in the back, more of a even narrow straight rather than up to make it climb. So it's not going to climb. The bag popped off, so I'll have to look into that. That's the thrust jet I'm talking about. You can go up to make it climb, you can go down just to keep it on the ground. I kind of went straightened down a little bit. Sweeper seems to be sweeping like it's supposed to. Like I said, the bag did pop off. It looks like the lip that holds the bag right here is missing a little bit. So I'll have to probably grind that a little bit to make it flat so it would clip better. The other side seems to hold pretty good. So I'll contact the people I bought this from, see if they'll send me a new chute. I am curious if the chute that I have on my old Polaris would fit this one. It may not, because the size of the tube in there on the bottom. So I may play with that some other day. Right now I'm going to put this back on, stick it back in the pool and let it kind of do its thing. So it was catching leaves and grass until it popped off. It might have popped off when I yanked it off the sun deck to get it back in the pool. That's my assessment of the Folaris, fake Polaris, or four-wheel Polaris. Call it the Folaris. Any questions? Comment down below, like, subscribe, all that other good stuff. Thanks for watching. Have fun out.